So excited for this webinar. Thank you for tuning in. We are talking about the perfect storm, and other times we've called it the sensory child. This is multiple years in the making. One of our favorite parts of our practice, our sensory kiddos, or kiddos on the spectrum, whatever we want to call them, the kiddos who have extra sensitive central nervous systems, and we are going into it this evening. Why? Because it's not easy. It's a struggle. It's a challenge. These kiddos can rip families apart. These kiddos can bring families together. These kiddos bring so much stress. These kiddos bring so much love. These kiddos are 9 times out of 10 a massive handful. But the coolest part that we get to experience in our office with these kiddos is to watch them transform, explode, become something that sometimes their parents have never seen before. And that gives me so much purpose. That gives me so much happiness. That gives me so much freedom and love in my heart to watch these kiddos experience life and enjoy life as the way that they were designed to do. Here's the reality, is that our world is more stressful than toxic than ever. And that is the reason these kiddos end up on this spectrum somewhere. Why? There's a number of things, and we're going to talk about some of those tonight. However, what I want you to know is that there is hope, there are answers, and there's action steps. Hope, answers, and action steps. I'm going to give you all of those this evening. What I want to show you is that, boom, right there. Bunch of different kiddos, some of our favorite kiddos that we've had the pleasure of taking care of. Just a few out of so many, from kiddos that would punch and throw and hit and smack their siblings, to not being able to walk, tripping over their own feet, to not even comprehending anything in school, to getting certificates, to moms who would tell us, I don't know if my kiddo would be one of those kiddos that would literally do something, one of those horrible things at school, but now I know that they wouldn't. Now I'm excited about their future, to some of the most challenging first visits that I've ever had with a child, to some of the easiest adjustments I've delivered years into their care. Kiddos that are expressing themselves, looking into their parents' eyes, telling that they're loving them, not saying mean things to their parents and their siblings anymore, no longer having freakouts. The list is endless. And why is this? What happened? What did we do? We gave their parents hope, we gave their parents answers, and we gave their parents action steps. And if you do those 3 things and you dive full in, your kiddo is going to be a new expression that you may have never witnessed before. So, what is the perfect storm? We've all heard of the perfect storm. It's the perfect conglomeration of things to make something happen. And the weather thing, it's like all these things happening together to make this perfect storm in the environment. In these kiddos, what the perfect storm is, these sequence of events that create a not so favorable outcome. Not saying that your kids aren't amazing, because I love your kids, and whatever flavor they come into our office, I love your kids. They're amazing, especially the sensory kids. They are so brilliant. They are so tapped in so many ways that I will never be. So many ways that I will never be. However, you and I both know that they can experience more calm, they can experience more happiness, they can experience more focus and learning and better emotions and less tantrums, eating better food, sleeping better throughout the night, whatever it may be to your kid. You can experience more of those things. So what is the perfect storm? The perfect storm is a number of things that can happen. Usually it happens with fertility issues and pregnancy stress. Boom, boom. When you're trying to make a baby and when you're growing a baby with inside you, stress and dysfunction creates a stressed out kiddo, therefore creates a primed brain to be in stress mode. We're going to think about stress mode and relax mode. We can talk about that as protection mode and growth mode. That fertility and pregnancy stress leads in to medical intervention in labor and delivery, which is most of the births in our world these days. Then that leads into a stressed, colicky baby, sick baby with torticollis, misshapen head, plagiocephaly. That leads into a stressed, constantly sick, challenging toddler, sensory spectrum stuck on kiddo, and then exhausted, angry, anxious, depressed teenager, and burnt out, stressed out, anxious, and ADHD adults. This just doesn't come out of ballpark. And sometimes, there's one specific thing that you can trace it back to, whether that's medical intervention that caused your child to spin out of control or a trauma such as a head bonk. We've had both of those, whether that would be a pharmaceutical that caused your kiddo to spin out or your kiddo had a big head hit. We had one kiddo smack his head on a seesaw and regressed into autistic-like behaviors. And that was, being one of the traumas, was one of the more easy ones to come out of. But if you have a conglomeration of all these things, I'm not here to point out and say, look, you're a bad parent. Not at all. We do the best that we can. However, we need to look at how far back this has gone, how the perfect storm conglomerated to create this sensory spectrum overload. One big part, okay, is the birth process. About 30% of births in the United States are C-sections. And on top of that, whether they're not C-sections or whether they are C-sections, there's a lot of pulling, twisting, and tugging on the head, okay? Something that's not very talked about in the birthing process. Pull them out, they go on their way. Some of them end up in our office at the early stage because we have an amazing community and we've been so blessed to have the honor and reputation within our community that when kiddos get pulled on and yanked on and they have things such as torticollis, plagiocephaly, nursing issues, latch issues within the nursing, low tone, hypertone, whatever it may be, we have a great referral system and parents know us for helping their kiddos out, okay? Look at that. I know it's hard to look at. That's a C-section, okay? That is a doctor pulling on a child's chin and the occiput, which is the base of their skull. That is a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pull. That is standard procedure. The same thing happens when that child comes out vaginally. You get a pull, twist, and tug in that upper cervical region, upper neck region. What that does, that creates trauma and damage to that region. And this is what we call the moonwalking bear. Majority of doctors are not going to talk to you about this. And it's really saddening to me. Because 2 days later, if you brought that baby into my office and I lift them up by their head out of their car seat, mom and dad would be at my neck, rightfully so, because that child is brand new. The neck control, the stabilization, everything. It's so delicate at the base of their skull, top of their neck. That's why you would never pick up a baby by their head out of a car seat. However, that's what happens during birth. We wipe our hands clean with a brain that was already in protection mode from preconception, during pregnancy, and now that stress is stuck on because of that neurological interference. Okay? Now we are looking at protection mode. So protection mode versus growth mode. And if we don't correct that protection mode, that's where the system is primed to be in sympathetic dominance or stress dominance, and that child has an inability to pump their brakes and relax and maintain balance, and then activate their vagus nerve to experience social vagus, which is the highest part of our brain. Social vagus is when we socially interact with one another. We experience emotions. We have higher level thinking. A population that we're talking about tonight who doesn't experience a lot of social vagus brain function are low functioning autistic kiddos. They don't look in your eyes. They don't speak. A lot of them don't like physical touch. Their social skills are obviously not there, and they're emotionally dysregulated, showing that their social vagus, their highest part of their brains, is not functioning correctly. So when we look at that, how do we know if our children is in protection? When you might be saying, hey, none of those things you went over before, I have no idea, but I think my child is in protection mode. Here we go. Protection mode exists, any of these labels, okay? We're talking about them tonight. Consistently get sick, poor balance or coordination, short temper, unable to focus, difficulty interacting with peers, poor sleep. Okay? Your child most likely is in protection mode. Next one, at-home tests. Okay? Lightly run your fingers up their back. Do they jump away? Okay? I'm going to go over here to the side, and you can see me. Hi. I'm going to take this off so you can see me. They're going to do this. When you slightly run your fingers up their back with their shirt off, okay, they're going to jump away from you. Protection mode on. Stroke their feet, just like that picture, like you're tickling their feet. If they have extra ticklish feet where they literally can't hold their feet there if you try to tell them they're relaxed, stress mode is on. Stand on one foot with one foot in front of the other. Walk the line. Close the eyes. Do they fall over? Stand in front of the mirror with your child in the bathroom with the light on and look at your pupils together. If your child's pupils are big and light, protection mode, stress mode, stuck on. Kiddos' pupils are going to be bigger than yours. That's just what happens with children. However, if they're huge, stress protection mode is stuck on. It's stuck on. Because when you're in stress when you're in a stress mode, you're running from the saber-toothed tiger, it's important that your pupils, the blackness on your eyes, are as open as wide as possible to let the most amount of light in so that your child can fight, flight, or freeze. However, when their brain's stuck in that mode on a subconscious level, it primes itself to not be able to stay balanced, not relaxed, and not move forward. And then we end up somewhere on the spectrum. When we say somewhere on the spectrum, a lot of people think just the autistic spectrum. When I'm saying spectrum, I mean just a little bit of sensory tendencies to low functioning autism. It's all a spectrum. And ADD, ADHD, OCD, all of that is all on this spectrum of hypersensitive central nervous system. Okay? So where do we go from here? You're equipped with this information. You have hope as things can change. Here are some answers. There's a lot of science that I could show you, but we're not going to talk about that because if you want that, I'll send it all to you. Just post a comment on here. I'd be more than happy to send it your way. Okay? So as we go through, what are things that you can change? Okay? Things that you can change is you can get your child out of protection mode and into more growth mode. The best way that we know how to do that is consistent chiropractic care. Because I know you're probably already doing the OT, you're already doing the speech, you're already doing all the things. You've probably already put them on gluten-free, dairy-free, red dye, 40-free, organic, non-GMO, all of that. When you do all that, it's still going to prime their system, but you need a direct input and correction, especially up through here, into their central nervous system to get them off stress, stark mode. When you have trauma up here, it's going to put this brain back into protection mode because you get nourishment from the brain in this general area. So your child needs to get consistent chiropractic care to balance their system out, cause them to be more in growth mode, consistently put their brain back into growth mode so that subconsciously they begin to pattern back into growth mode. That protection mode begins to subside. Okay, you heard me mention the diet. Gluten-free, dairy-free, casein-free, all the things. Soy-free, corn-free, sugar-free. You've probably implemented some of those. Big ones, gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, okay? If you're eating mainstream processed foods, get them out. They're poison. Non-GMO or organic for your child, okay? When it comes to things that stress out an already stressed out central nervous system, electromagnetic frequencies, turn off your Wi-Fi at night. Get your freaking Wi-Fi speakers away from your child's room. Do all that things. If you think I'm crazy, turn off your Wi-Fi for a week. Tell me if you and your kiddos sleep better because I guarantee you that you will. When it comes to movement exercise, you might be like, my kid's moving all the freaking time anyways. What can I do differently? Put them on a swing. Get them balancing on one foot versus another. Get them running. Really important. Get them crawling. Crawl with them. Make a fun crawling game. And obviously, if you have a low functioning autistic kiddo, these things might be challenging. Throw balls with them, hand-eye coordination, catch things. That primes their central nervous system. Dance with them. Put on some amazing, soulful dance music and dance. Dance to the central nervous system is a coordinated action, even if your kiddo doesn't look coordinated or you don't look coordinated. Who cares? Dance. It's so influential to their system to dance and express doing that. So, so, so important. Did I say crawl? Crawl with your child. So, so, so important. Okay. Bedtime's probably challenging. It gets much better when your kiddos start getting adjusted. Kiddos sleep so much better when they start getting adjusted. We had a kiddo the other day. It's amazing when families come into us when their kiddos are like, say, I think he's 13 months, wasn't walking, just army crawling. We did an intensive with him because he lives about 2 hours from us. So we saw him for 3 weeks, a couple times a day. Throughout those weeks, he went from army crawling to walking in 3 weeks. Mind blowing. And his mom was like, he has always been the worst sleeper. 3 nights in a row, slept through the night. Kaboom! This kid is rocking. I just did a progress exam with him yesterday. What happened? We calmed his central nervous system down. So if you have an older kiddo, that's super important. But I'm going to give you some bedtime tips too. Okay? An hour before bed, no major eating. Something light if they need to eat something. Okay? No eating an hour before bed. Turn off all the white lights. The white light that's blaring in my eyes right now. Get those things off. Overhead lights off. Put salt lamps in your house because that orange glow gets them prepped and ready for bedtime. So important. No television an hour before bed. Get the tablets out. None of it. Turn the freaking Wi-Fi off. Turn it off and get those kiddos playing in the salt lamp light, relaxing in the salt lamp light. Better sit on the couch in front of a really bright salt lamp and read some stinking books if you can get your kiddos to sit still with that. If not, just crawl around in the salt lamp. Make a game out of it. Okay? Salt lamp light. You got chemical tips. Another chemical one is neurotoxic regular chemicals and fragrances. Anything artificial fragrance, anything artificial cleaners, get them out. Stressful to an already stressed out brain. Out, 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 out. Easy one for cleaning that freaking covers everything is called Branch Basics. Branch Basics. Covers everything. Go online, order it. It's mineral based, all soap based. It works amazing. Get all the other crap out. Get all the freaking Yankee candles out. Done. Hit up one of your 14 million friends who are Young Living or doTERRA reps and get on some natural fragrance if you want those in your house. Super, super, super. Go as natural as you can in your life because you and your kiddos will benefit from it. Lastly, what does protection mode or what does growth mode look like? Growth mode looks like better social interaction, better communication, better eye contact, more happiness, higher level thinking, expressing themselves more. One kiddo in our office, she's got such a tough relationship. She's a sensory kiddo. She's got a tough relationship with her dad. Her parents are split up and her dad is verbally abusive. And her mom is like, we've been trying everything to get words out of this child. And her mom pulled me aside the other day and said, listen, her sensory stuff after the last couple of weeks has been getting more, which is typically what happens in our office. But man, the things that are coming out of her mouth and what she's telling us about what goes on at her father's house is getting us so far ahead in therapy, is allowing us to break through and get things on paper as well of what's been going on. So every single child is different. So that's more higher level communication, getting things off of their chest, interacting with kiddos. A kiddo got adjusted the other week, had a play date right after. He's 4 years old. Mom was like, he never interacts or plays with other kids. And this was the first time ever he went straight into a play date and started playing with kids. It's so freaking cool to watch and be a part of. Action steps. Implement what I taught you tonight. Implement. Got nothing to lose. It's only going to help. I promise. Give us a call. Mention this webinar. We get your kiddo scanned neurologically. We'll get them evaluated. See if we can help. 99% sure that we can. Implement the things with movement. Implement the things with food. Implement the things with cleaning products or fragrances. Implement the things with Wi-Fi. Electromagnetic frequency. Do the things before bedtime. Commit to it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I've watched so many kiddos transformed, and I've had the pleasure to do it and witness their journey and still be a part of a lot of their journeys as a part of wellness care. Years and years of being a part of this thing with kiddos, and I love it more than anything. It is so beautiful and amazing to watch. So mom, dad, if you're watching this, commit to these things. If you're not in our town, man, send us a message. We would love to help you find a chiropractor just like us to help your kiddo, because it is our mission that kiddos express more love, happiness, freedom, and life as much as they can, because you guys deserve it, because you're amazing parents, and your child deserves it because they are alive. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time,